The third round of the 2015 iRacing.com Road Pro Series takes place at the Silverstone circuit in England. The 5.1 kilometer circuit rounds itself clockwise and incorporates 17 turns, 7 of them to the left and 10 to the right. Taking us on board for a lap around the famous British motor racing circuit is round 2 winner from Radicals Online, Mac Backham. The lap begins here, through Luffield, turn 16, straighten that front end early, onto the throttle as early as possible, and carrying as much speed across the main straight as you start the lap here as you cross the start finish line. Listen to this, through turn 1 at Copse. Not a single dab on the brakes as he rolls off the throttle and then back on. Screaming through Maggots and Beckett's, incredible here. Small dab of the brakes, rear anti-roll bar and suspension settings, oh so crucial as you wait for that rear end to stabilize so you can patiently get onto the throttle. 302 kilometers an hour as you reach the end of the hangar straight, throw the car into turn 7 for Stowe, off camber, wait for the front end to bite. Undulation through the exit, downhill braking zone, don't lose the rear end. Into turn 8, don't carry too much speed, and then through club, turn 9 and 10. You wait an eternity to get onto the throttle here, then jink diagonal. On the straight, set yourself up for that same braking point you've used throughout practice for Abbey. Cambered, which helps. Look at this through the exit. Very minor steering correction for Mac Backham as he heads into the cambered bridge, using all of the track width at turn 14. Trail braking for Brooklands at turn 15. Finally, towards the end of the lap, do not stuff it up. Luffield, turn 16. We're going to take it the same way we did to begin the lap. Straighten the car early, carrying as much speed across the main straight, using all of the track width, then minimizing the track distance, hugging the inside wall, across the line for a 1 minute 19.984. Mac searching for his second win of the season. Qualifying is up next. Do not leave us. We'll be back live after these messages. You're watching the 2015 iRacing.com Road Pro Series live on RaceSpotTV and iRacingLive.
The outside contact made, 56 slides it at a 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Two different race winners to open the first 2 rounds of the series. We now enter Silverstone, England in the United Kingdom for round 3 of the 9-round Pro Series for the 2015 iRacing.com Road Pro Series live on RaceSpotTV and iRacingLive for today's event. It was Graham Carroll and Mac Backham who took the top step of the podium at Interlagos and Montreal respectively. Will we see our third different winner of the series here today? The likes of Peter Berryman, who's aiming to claim his maiden win, along with numerous names throughout the field, fighting for their 2016 World Championship license as we continue one of the most competitive Pro Series in history. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the third round of the 9-round Pro Series. Johnny Simon in the commentary booth alongside Paul Smith for this round. Hugo Luis on cameras as usual broadcasting. And what we enter now, Paul, is another round of the series. We enter qualifying with 7 minutes and 50 seconds remaining. We thought this series was going to be ultra competitive, and we thought correct. It has been incredibly entertaining for the opening 2 rounds, and Silverstone presents that type of circuit and that type of field that's going to produce spectacular racing as always.
Yeah, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Yeah, nice to have your company. Yeah, Silverstone, fantastic circuit. It's historic. It's the home of the first ever Formula 1 World Championship event back in 1950. It's the home of British motorsport, so it's really got a lot of history in this track, and it's got a nice flow to it as this track. You've got a lot of high-speed corners, long straights down the Hanger Straight. Then you've got the complex through Priory, Brooklands, and into Luffield. So you've got to have a good mix of the car. You've got to have it good through that slower section, but you've got to have that top speed and be able to go through the high-speed corners as well. And as you say, 2 different winners from the first 2 rounds. It should be an exciting race, that's without a doubt.
Yeah, hopefully we get our 3rd different race winner today to mix it up. We're watching Michael Dinkel on the run towards Bridge out of the Abbey chicane. He throws the car into the corner as well, maximizing all the track width. We saw that in the track guide to start the broadcast. And here through Brooklands, Paul, a corner you really love. We know your experience through there. Through Luffield as well. And to finish this lap, for Michael Dinkel, he hasn't had the best series. And for somebody like that, Paul, who needs to bounce back from 2 poor races, Silverstone's a good track for him as he can, sort of build that rhythm as we spoke about. And here we go, 5th currently in this group for qualifying.
Yeah, it's a good track to just maybe press the reset button on your series. It presents good opportunities, good overtaking, good draft as well. So hopefully, as you say, 5th at the moment for Michael Dinkel. He'll be trying to push on and get a good result.
Graham Carroll currently holds P1 on the timing screens. It was Mac Backham on pole position for Interlagos, and then it was Peter Berryman last round at Montreal. Now watching Riku Alatalo through the Brooklands corner. Into the corner as well. I think this might be actually an outlap for Rick Alatalo, who's going to begin a time lap right now. So for Rick Alatalo, another guy, Paul, where if he puts in the practice, he gets a decent result. Now, overtaking definitely possible at this racetrack. So for somebody of his caliber and somebody with his type of racecraft, this is another perfect venue for him as he sweeps out of Copse on towards the Maggots-Beckett's complex.
Yeah, absolutely. He was taking a very wide line through Luffield to just try and get that little bit on the power a little bit earlier out of Luffield to carry that speed through over the start and finish line for the start this lap. But yeah, he's got a good opportunity, this Riku. He's trying really hard to sort of improve and move up through the rankings here as he comes through at Stowe Corner down towards through the Vale and into Club Corner. Club Corner, really difficult corner because it's just kind of slightly off camber and it's got a little bit of a bump in the middle of it as well, so it makes it a real challenge to get on the power early. You can either keep it tight and wait to get the power on, or you can push it out wide and get the power down early. But yeah, he's certainly looking a little bit twitchy through the Abbey chicane.
Yeah, he's lost a lot of time from that, so this won't be the fastest time. He's currently in the 11th position in this group. Don't forget, 2 groups in qualifying. We don't know how the second group is going as Mac Backham claims pole position. So those times will be merged and we will get our final grid, which we will present to you later on. Riku Alatalo closes the lap here using all of the curb and grasscrete on the outside of Luffield through Woodcote, crosses the line, and there we go, up to P4. So he's lost a bit of time, Paul. You'd think with a clean lap he would have been on pole position.
He certainly would have had a chance of a pole position with those mistakes, just losing a little bit of 10th here and there, but very good time from Riku Alatalo there for getting him up to 4th position, as you say, in this group.
Here's Peter Berryman through Maggots and Beckett, sweeping the car in. Here we go, rear traction so vital on the exit here through Chapel. Jonas Nokarainen's just taken pole position. We see that dynamic track evolving, Paul, and Jonas Nokarainen taking advantage of it. A man from Radicals Online who are currently hold the front row in this group as Peter Berryman throws the car into Stowe as well. This track requires a lot of balance. Right now, that Apex Racing UK car of Peter Berryman seems like it's very stable. Could be carrying a little bit of understeer he might not want, but we'll check that out for the rest of the lap here. Goes diagonal on the racetrack with 3 minutes remaining through on towards the Abbey chicane. Cambered corner here. needs a perfect exit. For Peter Berryman here in P7, Paul, it's oh so crucial to finish this lap consistently.
Yeah, you got to make sure you don't snatch a break through this section. It is a rather slow section through the complex of Priory and Brooklands, and then it's a long wait to get on the throttle through Luffield. You want to get on the power a little bit earlier than you can, and well, he makes sure he uses every last piece of the track out of Luffield through Woodcote and across the line to move himself up to first position on the qualifying group.
Peter Berryman on pole position, taking advantage of the track gripping up towards the end of the session. Don't forget, if you're new to the Pro Series, welcome as always. You must complete your lap before that timer ticks to 0. You can't start the lap before the timer ticks to 0. You must complete your time, as Mac Backham currently steals pole position with a 1 minute 20.087. So now we see the time sort of creeping down. Now Mac did set a 1 minute 19 throughout practice, so I did see that. We can maybe see a few more improvements by some people here. Here's Christian Tanahato in P14 through bridge. Now, he can certainly jump a few positions here. He's around about 2 tenths down on Jorge Montañez in P13 in front. So for Christian Tanahato, excuse me, a crucial lap for him towards the end. That Luffield, Paul, ever so patient on the throttle. Bit of understeer, bit of oversteer at the same time. That car's not very stable as he crosses the line and will maybe snatch... What does he snatch? Only 2 positions up into P12.
But it's an improvement. You want to get that improvement, and that's what he's certainly done there. As we're looking, there's a couple of us still qualifying at the moment, maybe just finishing off times, but yeah, it's certainly looking good as we're looking at, I do apologise, Fulvio Barazzini through the Beckett's section. It's a challenging section as Beckett's, because you don't have to brake that much through there, but you want to make sure you can carry the speed down the hanger straight into Stir.
We currently see a 1 minute 20.087. Now these times are going to be slower than most of the World Championship times, if you're wondering. So Gregor Hutu did set a 1 minute 18.268 as Barazzini completely misses the apex there of turn 8 on through 9 and 10 at club. And the car a bit twitchy as well. Only 2 drivers out on the racetrack to complete their times. Barazzini and Fernando Guerrero, they're currently in 16th and 18th respectively. We're going to keep our eyes on both of them. Barazzini looks like he could improve here. The car very stable though, Paul, coming towards the end of the lap.
Yeah, it looks like he's maybe just set up the car a little bit to be solid through this slower section as he comes through Luffield now. As we say, nice and late on the accelerator just to go, and no, he's just deciding to pull up. He's obviously not happy with that lap, and that's his lap over with.
Here's Fernando Guerrero across the line. Can he improve? He made the 35 car grid at Montreal. This time around crosses the line and will remain in P18. Does not improve on his position. And for Fernando Guerrero, we'll see if he does make the 35 car grid. But that is qualifying for Group 1 all but over. We look at the standings for you. It is Mac Backham on pole position again with a 1 minute 20.087. Alongside him is Peter Berryman. It seems like these two are going to make that front row theirs. They're going to build a house and maybe both live in it, because those guys have been battling out for both races this season, maybe for a 3rd time round. But Graham Carroll, round 1 winner, will he remain consistent and pick up the pieces if Backham and Berryman clash once again? He's in 3rd. Jonas Nokarainen in 4th, only 0.003 of a second down on Graham Carroll. On the 3rd row of the grid, it's Marin Cholak and Rico Alatalo. And then behind them, Juho Abe and Cam Stark. Rounding out the top 10, it's Benjamin Lindsay and Tomo Meglek. The rest of the grid on your screen. Some good notable names there. Michael Dinkel again. Now, he's not living up to expectations here, Paul. Michael Dinkel in P13. We've seen a lot better from him in the IndyCar. Maybe he's struggling a little bit. We've seen him, actually, I take that back. We've seen him a lot stronger in the Grand Prix car. I guess he's just here to claim the points and get that World Championship license for next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's very important to get that World Championship licence, because there's a very limited amount of them going around, so he'll be fighting it out to try and just get those points to be able to move on to the Grand Prix series.
So as qualifying wraps up, we'll take a short little break here live on RaceSpotTV and iRacingLive. You're watching the iRacing.com Road Pro Series post-qualifying coverage. Up next, don't leave us, the race as well, in only 10 to 15 minutes time. All the action coming up shortly.
Truex in the outside, contact made, 56 slides it at a 4, who's going to be at the stripe, dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
For iRacing to get Le Mans is huge. I mean, this is a unique event, a unique track where, you know, half of the track is public road, so you can never test on it, you never get experience on it, and it's 8 miles in length, 4-minute lap time in a GT car. So, you know, even if you're here for an hour of testing, that's only 15 laps, and you're only going to see the corner 15 times that day. The first section going through the Dunlop area is pretty unique. You know, it's got elevation change and off camber. Then you go down Mulsanne into the chicanes, and you know, the straights are unbelievably long. It's a tricky track, and you know, every year I've come here, this is being my 4th year, you learn something new every time.
We've wanted to add Le Mans to iRacing for a long time, and we've really been working hard towards it for the last 5 years. But really, things only came together in the last week leading up to this race. So it was a real scramble to put everything together. The majority of Le Mans is public roads. So when they're preparing for the 24-hour race, it's really the only time that we can visit to laser scan and photograph the track so that we can recreate it in iRacing. We work closely with the ACO to get essentially exclusive access to the facility. and everything that we needed to get the laser scanning and photographic reference that we need to create the track. We were very fortunate to be at Le Mans at the most important time of the year and gain that experience of being there. And we're going to really do the best we can to put that into our work and making sure that the Le Mans in iRacing is the best Le Mans, the most exciting and accurate recreation of the track possible.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Qualifying all but wrapped up for another round of the iRacing.com Road Pro Series at Silverstone. It is Danny Garcia Filol taking pole position by 7 thousandths of a second over Mac Backham in P2. Iberica Racing, Pablo Lopez, P3. So first, third, and seventh for Iberica Racing there. Incredible stuff from them. Radicals in second and sixth. And then we have Apex Racing UK in 4th and 5th, so 3 dominant teams in the top 7. This should make for a very interesting race coming up soon. But for now, we speak for post-qualifying. And Paul, we just saw there, Danny Garcia Filol, 7 thousandths of a second in pole. And we're just speaking in the break that Iberica are a team that need to garner and need to obtain a great result. And it's not that they haven't over the first 2 rounds, but they haven't claimed a race win. And now they have their best chance at it, with Danny Garcia Filol in first place, then Pablo Lopez in third for the supporting cast. And we've seen what Marin Cholak can produce, as we saw at Montreal last week.
Absolutely, it's given them a fantastic chance and opportunity to be able to get a really good result. And if they can get a good start and maybe jump second place and be able to hold the top 2 places in the grid from early on, that'll put them in a good stead. But there's a lot of competitive teams out there. I know Apex Racing UK are a very competitive team around this track, so they may be one to look out for as well.
Yeah, their home race, not that that makes any difference in sim racing, because you're in the virtual world, but then nevertheless, if you're a man from the UK, you tend to sort of practice at your home tracks anyway, so it can make a little bit of a difference. I know Yao Vaz, or not Yavaz, somebody else was very good around. Mogafilio was around Interlagos. So is Hugo here right next to us. So those guys very good at their home circuit. 2 guys who matched their qualifying time was Ricky Alatalo and Martin van Luzenoord with a 1 minute 20.364. Currently in P8 and P9. Now, Paul, on the rundown to Cops at the start, when you're in that sort of late top 10, around P8 to P12, what can you do from those positions to attack into that first corner at Cops, the fast sweeping turn 1?
Silverstone, it's not really a long run down to the first corner, if you think about it, especially in a Formula 1 car. So it's really all about making sure that you get a good launch off the line and be able to just maybe make up a place going into Cops and then making sure that you have the line through Maggots and Beckett and down onto the Hangar Straight, because the end of the Hangar Straight is where you should be making the move into Stowe, because you've got the draft from the car in front and you've got an opportunity there into that corner. So you can do things from sort of like that mid-pack, and as long as you don't get involved in any incidents, don't make any contact, then you can really sort of set your race on a good foot to start off with.
We look at championship standings as well. Mac Backham currently leads away with 73 points, only 6 points ahead of Graham Carroll there in second place. Marin Cholak and Danny Garcia-Filol right behind in third and fourth. Now that P25 slot is currently occupied by Christian Donato. He's just in front of... Oh, he's just behind Riley Preston and Frederick Evers, who are in 23rd and 24th respectively. We look down past that 25th position. Jorge Montañez, Dimitri Yanis, Yao Vaz, Marcus Hamilton. You know, as I spoke about before, there are some names down this order from 26th to 41st where, you know, you think about it, these guys are some of the strongest sim racers out there in the business, but you come and compete and you put them all together in one competition, and you essentially see who's got that extra little spur pull just to sort of, you know, gain that extra few tenths that you require as a team owner.
Absolutely, and it's a great shop window for maybe teams to maybe sort of look at who's up and coming and who's got the opportunity to push forward to go for that Grand Prix license, to go for that championship. But yeah, there's a lot of names that you do recognise from sim racing that are really good racers, who have got good skills and are able to do things with a car that most mere mortals can't, like myself. And it's a case of it's a case of just seeing what they can do and how they can, because, as we say, Silverstone is a different track to Montreal, but it's similar also in ways. It's a lot of high-speed sections, and so if you've done well at Montreal, you would hope that you were able to then carry that forward onto Silverstone.
Don't be so harsh on yourself. We haven't even started the actual race yet, alright? So just give yourself some sympathy. Final thing before we head to a quick commercial break. Trust me, guys, it'll be a quick commercial break before we head straight to the race. We speak about the two-stop strategy here today. It essentially is the fastest strategy around Silverstone. But the key is, at the start, you fuel yourself heavy. You know, if you're the likes of Danny Garcia-Filol, and if you can keep everybody behind and extend your stint, even by 1 or 2 laps, it could pay dividends in the end. So strategy, as usual, Paul, comes into play with these cars. Don't forget, 2009 Williams FW31, refueling is allowed.
Yeah, absolutely, and as you point out there, you want to make your fuel stint last as long as possible so that you're able to then have a lighter car with fresher tyres towards the end of the race to maybe just make that last spurt to make up a couple of places. So it's all about strategy, but we'll wait and see what happens here.
So before we wait to head over to a commercial break, actually, we speak about the two-stop strategy. Right now, we spoke about Cops, a great overtaking point on the run down to Stowe. Some drivers, Paul, if they are lucky and they get a good run out of Club, and maybe somebody in front of them might struggle for traction, they could indeed have a run down into the Abbey Chicane. Yeah,
the Abbey Chicane, it's a good place to overtake because you carry a lot of speed out of Club, and as you say, it's all about the exit that you get through Club to get that run down to Abbey, and it certainly is a good opportunity to overtake and maybe run through Bridge as well into the first part of the complex into Priory. That's a good little place to make a darting move down the inside, a late braking move. So there's plenty of overtaking spots around here.
Yeah, very brave through Priory. Well, anyway, we'll speak about that afterwards. The race coming up next. Do not leave us. You're watching the 2015 iRacing.com Road Pro Series from Silverstone for round 3.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Welcome back to round 3 of the 2015 iRacing.com Road Pro Series from the Silverstone International Circuit, the 5.1 kilometer, 3.2 mile clockwise venue with 17 turns, 7 of them to the left and 10 to the right, which will challenge the drivers for 60 laps of racing coming up. As we look at the grid, Danny Garcia-Filol on pole position, just ahead of Radicals Online's Mac Backham. Iberica first and third, with Pablo Lopez in third position. Peter Berryman right behind in fourth. There we go, Graham Carroll, Jonas Nokarainen, 5th and 6th on the third row. Right down the order, Marin Cholak, Martin van Loosenord, Riku Alatella from 9th. The rest of the grid on your screen. And here we go, Paul. Drivers taking to the grid. It's going to be a hectic first lap in these Grand Prix cars, screaming into cops.
It's going to be fascinating, it's going to be exciting, it's going to be wonderful. I mean, you've got 35 cars here on the grid. It's going to be amazing, Johnny.
Certainly is. So here we go. The drivers prepare. The nerves build up as always as they grid. Set their fuel, set their strategies. Any last comments, any last good lucks, it all takes place right here as Danny Garcia-Filol stares away at the lights, still waits for him, around 20 seconds away from going green. What can Riku Alatalo do from the 9th position on the grid? You can see the angle that those drivers take from right around the 4th row back as Woodcut, that final corner, turn 17, is right near the start-finish line. Doesn't faze Danny Garcia-Filol, who stares and waits for the 5 lights to illuminate and disappear as we go green for 60 laps of racing, and Mac Backham with an incredible start steals first place away from Danny Garcia Filol. Pablo Lopez behind, also a horror start. Is that Peter Berryman right there? I think Peter Berryman there in second position. Great start, and as well for the fact of Graham Carroll. So Apex Racing UK here, Paul, in second and third. An amazing start for both those drivers.
Yeah, I said you want to make a good start, and that's certainly what Apex UK have done with Graham Carroll and Peter Berryman as well with a good start. But Matt Backham, fantastic launch off of the second place on the grid.
Oh, Danny Garcia Filol under attack from Martin van Loozenhout, and can Apex Racing UK here add to their incredible start? They do. Danny Garcia Filol incredibly cautious. He might even be under attack from teammate Marin Cholak behind, who tries to slot himself up the inside. Danny Garcia has to give room. Riku Alatalo also battling right behind them. This is for 6th, 7th and 8th, so the pole sitter going to lose another position here, and a horror start for Danny Garcia Filol.
And also Pablo Lopez looking around the outside of the Abbey chicane. There's contact. Pablo Lopez, and it was Graham Carroll that made contact. Hopefully there's no damage to those two cars, but certainly a big contact for them. But that's as one of the Apex cars runs wide as well. Is that Martin van Loozenhout?
Oh, it's Martin van Loozenhout there at Brooklyn. So on the exit of Priori, on towards Brooklyn's runs wide, and that allows Graham Carroll into the third position. What an incredible first lap as Matt Backham takes the lead at the end of lap 1 ahead of Peter Berryman. Only 1 second. Those two fighting throughout the season, and once again we could be in shape for another battle for P1. Graham Carroll in third, Martin van Loozenhout in fourth. The gap from P2 to P3, 3 seconds, and then a big train all the way back. Marin Cholak fifth, or Marin Cholak, excuse me. Riku Alatalo up 2 positions into 6th. Jonas Nukarainen from 6th to 8th also dropped positions. Danny Garcia Filol, he's dropped down to 10th. Wow, incredible. And Yuho Abe with a crash there, Paul. Not good for the start of his event.
No, absolutely. It's not ideal to crash out on the first lap, and I'm just having a look on Martin van Loozenhout's car. He's got a little bit of damage because he's going down the straights, but he's slightly got a right hand down, so a little bit of front damage on that suspension, and that could cause issues later on in the stint with tyre wear.
I'll tell you one thing, Tomo Meglek is going to be under the look from the stewards. That was incredible. Completely taking out Yuho Abe. And I'm not sure if aero loose came into play, but his car is extremely damaged now, and that was a horror incident. And not something you want to see in the world of motor racing, let alone sim racing itself. But nevertheless, that battle for the lead, Matt Backham just ahead of Peter Berryman by 1.1 seconds. We look at the replay as well on your screens for that incident between Abe and Meglek. But right behind, Danny Garcia Filol in 10th. Now, we've had horror first starts. We remember Mark Webber here in Formula 1 right around, I think it was 2008, from second on the grid, right down the order. Danny Garcia Filol in the dry, he's just being too cautious at the start, and it's, paid the price.
Yeah, he certainly has. I mean, is it a case that he's got a slightly heavier car? Are they doing a different pit strategy? That could be playing into it as well. Or, just maybe just a bad start as he comes down the hanger straight now behind Cam Stark.
Yeah, Apex Racing UK's Cam Stark. So Apex with 4 cars into the top 10. Berryman, Carroll, van Loozenhout and Cam Stark. And Cam Stark's having a little bit of a few technical issues here. But for Martin van Loozenhout in P4, he's holding up a big train of cars. And from 4th to right around 10th. Now, everybody from 4th to 9th position right now as Danny Garcia has a look at Cam Stark at the Abbey chicane. They're under a second of each other. So we're seeing some great fights throughout the field. And Silverstone, as always, Paul, we mentioned it before. We're going to see more of this for the next 57 laps.
Yeah, I think everyone just trying to get the positions while they can early on in the race, and then they'll just let things settle down and just get into the swing of things. But right now it's all manic. It's like it's a sprint race so far.
No, it's great stuff as well as we head over to lap 4 of 60 right now. And Matt Backham slowly creeping away from Peter Berryman. 1.3 seconds now, the gap between those two. I'm really fascinated with the fight here between Martin van Loozenhout and Marin Cholak. Van Loozenhout in 4th, Cholak in 5th. Let's see if Cholak can get right into the slipstream of Van Loozenhout. He's too far behind on this hanger straight, but certainly, Paul, throughout the race that this is going to be a great overtaking spot for a few drivers as Van Loozenhout runs very wide and misses the apex by a country mile.
Yeah, it'll favour those that are really good on the brakes, that are able to brake later, and it certainly looks like Matt van Loosenhoorn is just struggling a little bit with his car. Like I say, he appears to just have a little bit of damage on that front suspension, so affecting his car's performance, but he's doing a very good job to keep it in 4th place at the moment with his teammate Graham Carroll just up the road, 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, I'm not joking. This is a big train right now from 4th to 10th position. Benjamin Lindsay also wants a little bit of the battle right behind pole sitter Danny Garcia Filol. So Mac Backham will look at lap times this time around. So Mac Backham a 10th faster last time around. This time he'll cross the line and begin lap 5 of 60 for the event. He crosses the line with a 1 minute 22.027. And Peter Berryman 2/10 slower with a 1 minute 22.208. We look at Alvaro Romero in P24 right behind Dimitri Yanis right here. Dimitri had a oh, there's a spinner in front as well. That might be as there's a driver who's off in front as well. So action packed here as Alvaro Romero side by side into the first corner and straight pass on Dimitri Yanis, who may also be passed by Oscar Mangan here, the young man from the Apex Racing UK squad. Side by side into Maggots. Good bravery from both of them. And Caton plays the safe game right behind. I think it's very smart there from Marcus Caton, Paul, because now he has a great run here on the hanger straight to make a move on Dimitri Yanis. Tucks into the slipstream up the inside. And this is a straight candy from a baby move. Unless Dimitri Yanis can stick it around the outside. He doesn't. So Marcus, oh, he does actually.
He's holding it, yeah, he's holding it around the outside, and that's what you can do there around Stowe. Then you've got the inside for the first part of the Vale, and then Club. Oh, as it loses the back end there, and well, it's all close. It's about 5 cars in this. It was also Ricardo Torres who was the spinner out of Luffield. As now down the inside we go. Dimitri Yanis just losing that place, losing 2 places possibly there around the Abbey chicane, but he's got the inside through bridge. Can he make it stick? But of course he's on the outside going into Priory, and he loses that place.
Oh, smart driving from Vincenzo Amico, who right behind Yanis is his teammate from Vortex Racing, Tim Berti, and Michele Mancusi. Sushi trying to go around the outside of Luffield. Incredible racing here, and you can't believe this is from P24 to P29. So these guys still fighting for those bottom end of the points. Now remember, every point matters. The top 25 gain a license to the 2016 iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. And what about Jonas Nukkarainen here, right behind Riku Alatalo, the battle for 6th and 7th. Nukkarainen, though, not close enough into Stowe. And we saw it before, Paul. Now, these drivers are going to be practicing it for a week, or they have already practiced it for a week. Which corners they can go side by side with, which corners they can maybe throw it up the inside with a dive bomb. Abbey chicane now, coming up for Nukkarainen, is one of them, but he's a bit too far behind on Alatalo.
Yeah, you're not going to get the job done from that far behind. It's slightly uphill into the Abbey chicane, so you can brake a little bit later. The hill helping you under braking, so it's a relatively short braking zone for the chicane. But yeah, through Priory and Brooklands is still on the rear gearbox, the only gearbox of Alatala.
Yeah, they've only got one gearbox. we know that lap 7 of 60 here, as Mac Backham crosses the line. And Alatalo, actually, we thought he was defending from Nukkarainen. Now he's attacking on Marin Cholak. That's how close these drivers have been battling out here in the first 7 laps of the event. Through Maggots and Beckett's, the key here, Paul, is that through this fast-sweeping complex, it's really important to stick as close to the driver in front as possible. Alatalo there, the dirty air coming into play, losing around about a 10th or 2 through the exit throughout Chapel.
Yeah, absolutely. It does affect you through Beckett's because they are high-speed corners. You need all the downforce that you can get. And if you're stuck up behind the car in front, you've got that dirty air, and it's going to affect you through that. So you're going to be slightly slower down the hanger straight, as you say. And that's certainly cost Alatoa just a few tenths as coming out of the club. He has certainly dropped back a little bit from Kolak.
Yeah, he has. So the battle's sort of dying down a little bit now. As I say that, under braking, they creep in so close to each other. Nukkarainen has the best exit of the 3. Looking at the TV screen, so for Jonas Nukkarainen there, very wide line through turn 14 at Priory. And I love Brooklands. Trail brake into the corner. He's almost trying to say to Ricky Alatalo here, get a move on. And one fin to another, you'd expect both these guys to be to sort of pushing each other and maybe work together on the racetrack. Then again, they're not on the same team. Ricky Alatalo for Glacier Racing, Eunice for Radicals Online. And Eunice's teammate, Mac Backham, currently in first. Not the help that Mac Backham wanted, Paul, as we will look at the replays for the start of the race. But for Eunice anyway, he can maybe help his teammate in another way or another, holding other people up.
Yeah, as much as you want your team to do well, if you're out in the lead and you've got a teammate holding up rivals, then yeah, you want them to help you out. But you've got to concentrate on doing your own thing in a Grand Prix series like this, as yeah, it's always a challenge here. As I can tell you, actually, our pole sitter has got past Cam Stark now, so he's up to 9th place after that disastrous first lap.
Yeah, it was, well, it's more than disastrous. It was preposterous, horrifying. I don't know, there's not an extreme word to describe it. It was a horror start for Danny Garcia Falol, and I'm sure all his fans are going to be rooting for him to come through the field and make some positions. Christian Tanaote right now has had a spin. Yes, he's trying to rejoin at a difficult point of the racetrack. I think that's the club chicane, isn't it? Yeah, Paul. So for Christian Tanaote, he's had an incredibly unfortunate spin there, and we'll hopefully get a replay of that.
Yeah, what's happened there is just, like I say, it's off camber slightly, his club, and you've also got a little bit of a bump there, and he's just gotten the power a little bit too much and lost the back end, and luckily there's plenty of runoff there on the inside, tarmac runoff, so you're not going to end up in the barriers at least, so able to carry on and get back onto the track, but he's lost a lot of places, down to 28th.
Kazuki Mishima here in P14, right behind Benjamin Lindsay in the 13th position. Kazuki always strong at Montreal, and here we go at Silverstone, carrying that form into the UK, and he's really hunting down Benjamin Lindsay right now. Let's see if Kazuki can set up a passing maneuver in the downhill braking zone for turn 8, past the Vale Straight. Live timing is available on RaceSpotTV/timing for this event. Don't forget, track all the drivers wherever you want them, any positions. Track your favorite driver as well. Send them a message after the race, maybe a good luck. You can do all of that on the iRacing forums as well. Lap 9 of 60 for the event. So here's Kazuki Mishima. Now a bit of a 5-car train, and then we see the biggest example of dirty air. The slowest, a very slow corner, the Abbey Chicane, and the drivers can't even hit the apex.
Yeah, it's always difficult as Kazuki just runs a little bit wide there through Priory into Brooklands, but yeah, as you say, that dirty air with these Formula 1 cars, the Williams, it does affect the overall grip of the car, and you do suffer with that dirty air, especially around a track like Silverstone. You're not able to brake as late as you want because you've not quite got the grip that you have normally in clean air.
Currently on lap 10 of 60, so we will complete 1/6 of the distance once Mac Backham crosses the line at the end of this lap. And the pit stop windows, for those wondering, we're expecting 2 stops. The window opens on lap 20 to 29 for the first stop, and then around about lap 34 to 44 for the second and final stop. For those one-stopping, we'll see him around about lap 27 to 33. A one-stop is going to be on the edge, Paul. But sometimes it may work if you're down the order and you want to avoid battling with all the drivers.
Yeah, it's a tough one, especially around here, because it's a lot of weight to carry around, is that extra fuel, and of course you're going to have older tyres as well, so yeah, it saves you time in the pit stops, but overall, it maybe just you don't carry that speed throughout the race, so 2 stops is definitely the way to go in terms of strategy, but somebody may try it and may get lucky with a 1-stop.
Mac Backham currently ends that 6th lap, or he begins actually lap 11 of the event, so he's completed 10 so far, and he leads by 2.1 seconds ahead of Peter Berryman in 2nd place. Berryman's teammate Graham Carroll 6 seconds behind Berryman, 8 seconds from the lead. So Graham Carroll there very far behind here already, 10 laps into the event. Martin van Loozenhout in 4th, so it's an Apex Racing 2-3-4. Then Marin Cholak in the 5th position, 1.1 seconds behind Martin. Riku Alatalo, Jonas Nokarainen, Pablo Lopez, Danny Garcia Falol, and Cam Stark round out the top 10. Since Danny Garcia's disposed of Cam Stark, he's slowly fallen and dropped off the pace. For Cam, though, we speak about consistency, Paul, as always, and Cam just gaining the points he needs to obtain that World Championship license. We know guys like Mac are not aiming to run the full championship. Now, don't forget, you do get a drop break between rounds 1 and 7 to take. So for these drivers at the top, unless you're going for the championship, they just want to get the points to get this series over and done with.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just thinking what happened there, but yeah, it's all about the championship. It's all about getting those points earlier on, just to build up those points to be able to get into the World Championship. But yeah, Cam Stark, 10th place, is up a place from where he started in 11th, so he's gained on in this race. Phil Hall, I'm just having a look at his times ahead of Cam Stark. He's actually falling back from Pablo Lopez, so Phil Hall not really having the pace with race conditions, so maybe his setup suits the lighter car.
So we'll see what happens for Daniel Garcia Filol as the stint progresses. Only 1.6 seconds behind his teammate. Now, if you just saw what you saw on your screen, that was true. Peter Berryman with a major spin, only lost 3 seconds though, and he's 5.7 seconds behind now of Mac Backham's lead. So he's lost 3 seconds from that spin. Not good for Peter Berryman in P2, but he still maintains the second position because Graham Carroll was so far behind. 3.1 now behind Peter, his teammate. Now with 49 laps remaining, looking to see if anybody can creep in towards the pit stop phase. Jonas Nokarainen still can't get past Riku Alatalo, who still can't get past Marin Cholak here, Paul. So these guys don't want to wait another 10 laps to the pit stop. They're going to push and be aggressive, and we'll see if anybody can maybe save fuel and tuck into the slipstream as much as you can to extend their stint by 1 lap.
Well, that's it. I mean, with the in modern Formula 1, you want to get the undercut. With the refueling, you want to go as long as possible with that fuel, because then you end up with fresher tyres and lighter fuel loads towards the end of the race with those adjustments that you make. But yeah, maybe they're just trying to stay in the slipstream, try and keep in that draft to help cut down the fuel usage so that they can extend that pit window a lap, maybe 2.
For David de Corps, he's had a huge issue on the exit of Bridge, and he's just lost the rear end, trying to extend the line into Priori, and he's unfortunately damaged that car. It looks like terminal suspension damage for David de Corps, and not good for his campaign in the 2015 iRacing.com Road Pro Series. So David de Corps right now into the pit lane, servicing that car. And he's currently down in 33rd position. Only 3 retirements in the event. David de Corps joins that list unless he rejoins the racetrack with repairs. Tomo Meglek with that huge incident with Yuho Abe, who's also our last retirement. Now we look at Vincenzo Amico there in the 22nd position, just in front of Emil Henriksen. A very close fight between those two. Actually, Vincenzo Amico just made his way past Emil Henriksen into that 22nd position. Now Vincenzo here is impressing, Paul. These guys mustn't forget, you're still down the order, you still get TV time, you can't drive like a lunatic, and Vincenzo Amico showing that he is a very composed and a very strong racer.
Absolutely, he's made up 10 places so far in this race, so he's showing that he's got a good amount of pace in the race conditions, and he's able to move up through the field and do it cleanly as well, so doing a fantastic job so far.
Yeah, so I think Jonas Nokarainen's also made a mistake. What is going on? Every time we take our eyes off these guys, something goes on. So Jonas Nokarainen, hopefully get a replay of that, he finally got past. Yeah, he finally got past Rico Alatalo, and then he made a mistake. I'm reading the chat here, who's other spectators.
It's out of left field. It's out of left field. He just gets on the power a little bit too early. As we say, you're tempted to get on that power and get on it a little bit too heavy, and just loses the back end, and that's cost him a couple of places, well, more than a couple of places. Now he's down to 9th place.
Now Jonas is another driver. We've seen him in the World Championship for so many years. Just missed out on a top 25 position along with teammate Mac. And that sort of helps Radicals in a way, Paul, because, you know, if you're the only driver in the series and the rest of your team have the summer winter off, depending on where you are in the world, you know, for these guys now, okay, yes, they don't want to take part in the Pro Series, but then again now it's a learning curve. They've learned their lesson to push harder in the World Championship, to you know, gain those extra few tenths they need, and right now they can sort of build team chemistry with these types of series.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about gaining experience as well with the car around the tracks and the circuit. So it's knowing how to attack each circuit, and you need to get as much seat time as possible to be able to be competitive with your Hutus and people like that.
Yeah, the 5-time world champion Gregor Hutu, who did take pole position for this race, but nobody cares about that. It's all about Mac Backham now in first place. Danny Garcia Falol, our pole sitter, making his way back up through the field, taking advantage of Nukarainen's mistake, and he's only a couple of tenths behind. He's having a look here on teammate Pablo Lopez, but Nukarainen could take advantage of that, and he tries to go around the outside at Abbey. At Club. That's incredible. On the run down to Abbey here, Jonas Nukarainen can brake late and send it up the inside. He does, side by side between him and Danny Garcia Falol, and Jonas Nukarainen up into the 8th position. Not good for Danny Garcia Falol, who was having a look at his teammate, cost himself a couple of tenths, and those were the tenths that he needed to maintain the 8th position.
And he just showed exactly what I said earlier at the start of our coverage about Club Corner. You can either go around to keep it tight, or you can just get on the power early and carry that speed around the outside, and that's exactly what he did. It got him the line into the Abbey chicane, and it worked out beautifully for him.
Yeah, for Michele Mancusi though, it's not working out beautiful for him. He's had suspension damage, entered the pit lane early, and he will not continue in this event. So he becomes our 4th retirement of the event. And for Michele Mancusi, not what he wants as he pursues a 2016 World Championship license. Good to see Justin Lindsay out there for Coanda Simsport. He's just slowly, trundling away. Not really fussed with any decent result. Just wants to get his license as well for 2016. So, this is where retirements come into play, Paul, is where, all you have to do is keep your car in a straight line. And, if you miss out on a license by 2-3 points and you come back to races like this, and maybe next week as well, because remember, you are allowed 1 drop week. I always say that if you have the pace as a young driver, then that's good. If you have to work on consistency, that's okay. Because if it's the other way around, working on pace is a lot harder than working on consistency.
Absolutely, yeah. It's you've got to have the inherent pace there first. That's the key. It certainly helps your career as a racing driver to have that pace overall, because you can work on the consistency and you can just get on to it. As apparently we've got problems for Pablo Lopez.
No, GoPro Lopez here. More problems on Cops as well as that Kazuki Mishima right behind. So he's had a problem at Luffield. Pablo Lopez with a spin and under pressure there. Not good as he lost the rear end. No damage for him. So he's going to continue on. And GoPro Lopez there in the 12th position. Lots of fans watching him here today. Welcome to all of you. Don't forget RaceSpot.tv/timing for live timing of this event. On the other side of RaceSpot, it's the classic IndyCar series being broadcasted as well. Will Vincent and Rachel Whiteford in the commentary booth for that event, as Pablo Lopez just defends from Kazuki Mishima. Now, Paul, what you don't want is a guy like Kazuki Mishima on your tail. Incredibly aggressive, incredibly confident, and right now Pablo Lopez has put himself under more pressure, not that he wants it after his spin.
I mean, the problem is also, if you make a mistake, generally, you get the adrenaline going and you make another mistake pretty much on the next lap. So really, you want to just calm yourself down again, just get your heart rate down again, and just work and concentrate and make sure that you just keep that place. As Kazuki just losing that back end a little bit going into Luffield there, but able to get a good run, takes a wide exit out of Luffield, going through Woodcut, just trying to get the run on Pablo Lopez, but Lopez managing to keep ahead. But here comes Kazuki, just not quite close enough to look down the inside into Cops.
Yeah, Cops, one of my favourite corners in motor racing. So is Stowe. Oh, he's right onto the back into Maggots, but he's just too far back. So on towards Beckett's right now. Little dab on the brake for both drivers. It seems that Lopez, or actually both, have a great line through there, and tucks into the slipstream is Kazuki Mishima on the run down to Stowe on the hanger straight. Where will he send it, left or right? And Lopez, great defending there, Paul, stays to the middle of the racetrack, but it produces a terrible exit here. Kazuki Mishima, a bit of contact between the two as they head towards the turn 8 braking zone, and luckily for both of them, they keep it together. And there we go, a very, very huge miscommunication. Kazuki wanted the inside line. Lopez didn't leave much room for him. At the same time, I think Kazuki just noticed he had to back off there.
Hopefully Kazuki doesn't have any damage to that car as well, because it just looked like a fairly sort of sturdy hit, shall we say, to the front suspension, but yeah, able to keep it going and not losing any places. But Pablo Lopez certainly showing that he can defend a position, that's for sure.
Yeah, Lopez there at the last second. Very close call, I think, as to who's to blame. I don't think we should... You know what? Everybody always looks for who's to blame in contact. I say who's to initiate the battle, because I want to see more racing like that. And both of them right there, Kazuki being aggressive, Lopez, you know, being very aggressive defending as well, both initiating the battle, and I love it. The battle for P12 and 13 down the order, and it goes to show as well that your race can, out of nowhere, just turn into, just blast into pieces, because right now, pole sitter Danny Garcia Falol in 8th, and where's Pablo Lopez? There he goes in 12th position, down 9 spots from 3rd. For Iberica Racing, Marin Cholak from 7th to 5th has been the bright star today.
Yeah, certainly has, but we've got a good battle as well for 9th place. Cam Stark having to defend stoutly against Howard Vaz and Benjamin Lindsay. These two certainly just keeping within a second of Cam all the way through this race so far, and this is a battle that's just going to go on and on between these three drivers.
Haven't mentioned Frederick Evers in 15th and Diogo Oliveira in 16th. Those two drivers, very good race for them. They're always solidly, consistently finishing the race, getting the points they need. Diogo for the PSR team, very good stuff. Frederick Evers for Friction Racing as well. The Frenchman in 15th position, did start the race from 22nd, so he's up 7th positions. Diogo Oliveira up 4 positions. For Riley Preston in 17th for Evolution Racing Australia from 26th to 17th. Good stuff from him. He's right in front of Jorge Montañez. The battle for the lead, if you're wondering, if you're not following RaceSpot.tv/timing, Mac Backham leads by 7 seconds, now 6.9 ahead of Peter Berryman. As we close into that first pit stop stage, Paul, we'll see who pits in early and who pits in later, and for some of these drivers it could be crucial. We'll see if Danny Garcia Falol is indeed fueled a little bit heavier than the rest of the drivers around him.
Matt Backham, that last lap was only 1,000th of a second faster than Peter Berryman, yeah. So Berryman doing very good to get back onto the pace after that little mistake from him through Brooklands. But yeah, it's certainly looking good for Mac so far. But as you say, he could be on a slightly lighter fuel load than the rest of the field and may pit earlier. And which could, in the long run, mean that other cars come back towards him towards the end of the race.
Yeah, I'm just hoping for the likes of Danny Garcia Falol that he is a bit on the high side with fuel, because right now the event with 21.9 seconds away from the leader is not looking good for him. Then again, there's still 40 laps remaining and we are now officially 1/3 through the event, and Mac Backham leads away by 7 seconds. Now at this rate, nobody's been lapped at the moment. Now Vincenzo Amico, I think he's made a pit stop, so he's gone down the order into 31st. I was hoping that wasn't a spin, because he's had such a great race. And for Vincenzo there in 31st position, has indeed entered the pit lane and exited. It's going to be a 2-stop for him for sure, as he opens the pit window for us, Paul. Good stuff for Vincenzo, and now we wait for a few other drivers to enter the pit lane.
Yeah, so Vincenzo, 8.3 second pit stop, so taking on a good amount of fuel actually in that one. Maybe he wanted to go a little bit longer in this stint now, just to make that final stint a little bit shorter in the closing stages of the race.
So Mac Backham now in the first position. We'll watch him now through Copse on towards the Maggots and Beckett's complex, turns 2 to 6, and we'll listen to his engine on the exit of Beckett's. We'll see how smooth he... There we go, smooth onto the throttle. Nice stuff by Mac. On towards Stowe as well. See, I couldn't even finish my sentence, Paul. That's how fast Mac is driving around the racetrack right now. Incredible stuff. As Marin Cholak enters the pit lane, and he becomes our first leader to enter his box. Hopefully a quick pit stop for him. And this will give us an indication, Paul, of how long this pit stop is. Around 8 to 8.5 seconds we're expecting for Marin Cholak. There we go, around 8 to 8.5, as I said. So good stuff for Marin as he heads away, hopefully into a little bit of clean air.
Pablo Lopez also into the pits as well, the man who started on 3rd place. He's making his fuel stop now, and that's 8.8 seconds, so about 0.5 of a second longer than Cholak, so maybe just not quite on his marks in the pit stop as he just comes out behind Fernando Guerrero.
Yeah, so just behind Fernando Guerrero. If you're wondering, I did release my podcast finally with Fernando Guerrero. Check it out at the Simon Racing Report on YouTube, as always. Don't want to keep plugging in my podcast. Nevertheless, for Pablo Lopez, a little bit of traffic here. We'll see if Fernando actually is faster on a lighter fuel load, or if Pablo on those fresher tyres and with a little bit more pace than the PSR driver can get past. At the moment, Paul, it looks like Pablo will want to dispose of Fernando as quickly as he can. Nevertheless, the leader, Mac Backham, enters the pit lane, and that sums up that, Paul. He's very lightly fueled.
Yes, a 9.1 second pit stop, so slightly longer on the fuel there for Matt Backham. So this is now the time for Pete Berryman to really get the hammer down, really got to eke out some good, just basically do qualifying laps now for the next lap or two, depending on how long he's going on his fuel this first stint. So Pete Berryman really got to get on it now and push hard.
Lots of drivers into the pits. Frederick Evers as well. Danny Garcia below. Oh, no, Danny Garcia we already mentioned. Christian Tanahato, I think. No, Marcus Caton, that is. Excuse me. Marcus Caton into the pit lane down the order. For Mac Backham, no, he's in a little bit of clean air there in P10. Another 8.5 to 8.6 second pit stop for Mac Backham. So good to see him out there in a little bit of clean air. But does that allow Peter Berryman to close the gap? Now we look at lap times. No, Berryman straight into the pit lane. So at the moment, Paul, it looks like Mac is very dominant on a great fuel load for himself.
So yeah, so with Berryman pitting this lap, it just shows that that Mac really had a good solid amount of fuel in that car, so he wasn't fueled as light as we maybe thought he was.
So Peter Berryman right now, and look at that, angles his car. Oh, he's missed his box. Peter Berryman's lost around half a second by missing his pit box. Incredible stuff there, Paul. And will that allow teammate Graham Carroll to maybe jump a position? Because Carroll has stayed out. An 8.6 second pit stop for Berryman. Then we add the fact that it was a very cautious entry and very slow and cautious into his box. Not the best pit stop for Peter Berryman right there. And I spoke about it last round, Paul. Pit stops aren't just about how long you spend in your box. It's also about entry. It's also about how you enter and exit the box. There's a lot of factors to come into play.
Yeah, you've got to make sure that you attack that pit limiter line when you're on the entry to the pits, and you can attack it pretty late around here at Silverstone in this Formula 1 car, this Williams FW31, but it's certainly it's all about making sure that you're efficient, making sure that you get exactly on your marks, get that fuel and tyres done, and then get out the pits as quickly as possible. It's all about that time as Graham Carroll now comes into the pits.
I was about to say, not everybody's immune to 2 or 1 stops, so Graham Carroll right there, I was hoping he would 1 stop, that would explain his pace, but Martin van Loosenhoorn leads the lap for the Apex Racing UK team. Rico Alatalo continues for Graham Carroll, hopefully doesn't miss his box. He's really like a Jenson Button that's entered this series, Paul. I don't think I've seen a mistake from Graham throughout these first few rounds.
Graham's a very good driver. I mean, I've raced against him in touring cars, and he was very quick in those as well. So he is a well-rounded driver, and yeah, an 8.3 second stop for Graham Carroll there as he comes out the pits. So a good quick stop for him. And yeah, he has got the ability there as Graham, and it's just about making sure that he makes the most of his opportunities.
Yeah, huge pit party between Lindsay, Vaz and Umashima, who take the second exit as well. I don't think you're not obliged to take any of those pit exits. You can choose which one, but they choose to take the shorter route, excuse me. So right there, they enter the pit lane. Most importantly, though, for Peter Berryman here, Paul, is that Graham Carroll has feeded out 5 seconds behind. So it would have been very optimistic there if Graham Carroll maybe extended his stint by a couple more laps, would maybe get right in front of his teammate. For Michael Dinkel, though, who hasn't made his stop, along with Van Loosenhoorn, Alatalo and Cam Stark, as I say, that Alatalo enters the pit lane as well. So for Michael Dinkel, it's been a strong race for him so far. Started in the 17th position, currently in 6th. We'll see where he feeds out, and he's known to go for one-stops, so we could be seeing it here today.
We could do, and if he is one-stopping, he's in a very strong position because he's only 1.6 seconds behind Matt Backham, who was our early race leader.
Sorry to cut you off, Paul. Martin van Loosenhoort in the lead had a spin, and I believe that is on the run down to Beckett's. Oh, he's completely lost the car in the exit of Maggots. Then through turns 5, through turn 5, he's lost the car completely, and I think he's handed the lead straight to Cam Stark. So, right there, Martin van Loosenhoort's still in the lead, but he's lost an incredible amount of time. Now we'll see if he enters the pit lane earlier, Paul, because the car is going to be, or the tyre is going to be, very hot at this stage, very hard to control. He should enter the pit lane this lap.
Yeah, absolutely, and also with him getting on the brakes as well, maybe a little bit of sliding across, a little bit of flat spotting as well, so his tyres won't be feeling great now, so maybe now is the right time to pit. It may not be the time that you wanted to pit, but maybe bring it in now and just take some fresh tyres.
So hopefully for Martin van Loosenhoort, he listens to us. Yeah, there we go. Enters the pit lane with 35 laps remaining in the event. Martin van Loosenhoort enters the box for Apex Racing UK. Cam as well for the same Apex Racing UK team. And that allows Mac Backham to reclaim the lead once again. Michael Dinkel continues. Mac Backham likes to use a lot of grass through turn 1 at Copse on the entry. As we'll see how quick these pit stop times are for both of them. Don't forget, they can still possibly one-stop, Paul. It would be on the limit, but they're only 4 laps away from halfway distance. But for Van Loosenhoort, a quick pit stop. Same for Cam Stark. It seems they would be mostly 2-stopping at this stage.
Yeah, 7.8 seconds for Van Loosenhoort there with that pit stop. So definitely fueling, putting a little bit less fuel in. I'm interested to see Dinkel because he's still going out there. So maybe you are right that he's maybe going for a one-stop here in this race.
Yeah, Dinkel known so far in the series not to really, we're expecting. I know Will, who's in the commentary booth alongside us, definitely wanted him to win the championship. Seems like he just wants his license, so he's just starting near the back, one-stopping, just claiming points. For Van Loosenhoort, though, he feeds out in P8, right behind Jonas Tukarainen, so he's lost out after that spin, and it could have helped him. So without that spin, Paul, he could have been in the 6th position, possibly, maybe even in front of Ricky Alatalo in 5th. So for Van Loosenhoort, that spin, not good for him with 34 laps remaining.
No, he was holding up a few cars, was Van Loosenhoort, with I felt just in that early part of the race before the pit stops, and he's certainly dropped back now, as you say, 8th place in this race. Emil Henriksen and Dimitri Yanis behind, they've yet to stop as well, so we could be seeing a one-stop from those two as well.
Certainly so. Good to see so many viewers out there, as always, for the iRacing.com Road Pro Series, the 2015 to 16 season. Thanks as always to And1 Design. You can see their beautiful overlays that they produce for us, and they will produce more throughout the season and throughout 2016. And as well to Istvan Balor for track cameras. Wonderful stuff from them. So great to see so many contributions in the sim racing universe, Paul. And it goes to show the iRacing laser scan Silverstone circuit as well. This may be the older version, not the current modern day version, but at the same time, iRacing always produces us, and so do so many volunteers out there in the sim racing world, produce us wonderful content.
Absolutely. I mean, as you mentioned, it's the older layout of Silverstone, but I personally prefer this layout myself for racing. It's the traditional track that they used from the mid-90s when they changed the run into run out of bridge down in towards Woodcote. But yeah, it certainly is my preferred version of Silverstone. But yeah, always an immaculate job that they make do iRacing with their circuits and with the accuracy of every bump and every little different track detail that there is on there, and it's always good to see that from them, but also good to see on our broadcast such fantastic graphics and clear graphics that people can see and help people keep up to date with how their favourite driver is doing, even if we're not showing them on screen.
Yeah, certainly so. You can do that as well using RaceSpotTV /timing. Subliminal advertising here from us in the commentary booth. Round 9 of the series, the final round of the Pro Series, will take place at the Nürburgring. Hopefully when that gets released, that will be in 2016. Next round in 7 days time will be at Suzuka for 53 laps of racing. As usual, 1:30 GMT. The broadcast will start for qualifying. Do not miss a single round. This has been an incredibly entertaining series, and it continues once again here at Silverstone. Then again, Paul, the race has died off since the start. We could say at this stage the Interlagos and Montreal races were much more entertaining, but at the same time, you know, is the battle for P13 here. Is that Cam Stark who's losing time, I think? So Cam Stark might be losing time. He has. Something's gone wrong for him.
Yeah, he's fallen behind. He's behind Benjamin Lindsay now in terms of track position as Cam. But yeah, Yao Vaz and Kazuki I always get his name wrong. Kazuki's there on his tail, as well as Pablo Lopez as well at the back of that group. So they're all trying desperately to get past Cam there, and he's maybe not having the best race because he's dropped down to 13th after starting 11th. So he had made places, but now after these pit stops, just dropping back a little bit.
Yeah, Vaz and Umashima right behind, making up positions from their starting spot. Excuse my ignorance before, it was actually Vaz making a move on Cam Stark into the Abbey chicane, not Cam Stark losing time. So right now, Cam Stark under immense pressure from Yao Vaz and Kazuki Umashima. And we speak about that, Paul. Not only is Umashima trying to make a move on Vaz, but Vaz is trying to pass Cam Stark, quite obviously. Two hungry drivers right now with halfway distance coming up. Really want to make their way up the order.
Yeah, and they wanted to make the move sooner. They obviously feel that they're faster than Cam, who's currently holding that 13th place. But you want to have a little bit of patience, because if you throw it up the inside a little bit too soon, you can make a mistake and end up losing ground. As Yao Vaz under immense pressure now from Kazuki Umashima, and just going into Brooklands and into Luffield, and just not quite close enough to make that move. But will Kazuki get the exit out of Luffield to make the run? No, he just runs a bit wide and loses about a tenth or two on Yao Vaz.
Yeah, not good for Kazuki Umashima. Don't forget, Pablo Lopez is right behind as well. And what a horror race for GoPro Lopez, not living up to what he is capable of. He started in third on the grid, currently in 16th. Our pole sitter is outside of the top 10 in 11th place. Iberica Racing, this is not where they pictured themselves, Paul, at halfway distance, to be right down the order. Marin Cholak, their only living hope right now, in the 6th position, but he's still 19.7 seconds away from Mac Backham in the lead. And don't forget as well, as we approach halfway distance, Michael Dinkel hasn't made this pit stop, and he's only 2.7 seconds away from leader Mac Backham. Yeah,
Dinkel able to do a good job there, and able to keep going, keep consistent, and that's what he needs to do. He's this last lap now as they go across the line. We're looking at a 21.9 for Matt Backham and a 22.0, so only 1/10 so far between them on those lap times. And Dinkel, with the worn tyres, doing a very good job to keep so close to Matt Backham.
Yeah, so Michael Dinkel here with his pit stop out of nowhere is coming into play in this race. When did he start? He started down in the 17th position, currently in 2nd, but Mac Backham, as we approach halfway distance, now 29 laps remaining in the event, leads by 2.8 seconds ahead of Michael Dinkel in 2nd place. Apex Racing UK's Peter Berryman and Graham Carroll in 3rd and 4th. Good race from Rico Alatello in 5th, nice and consistent for once. And he's right ahead of Marin Cholak in the 6th position. Jonas Nokrainen in 7th with that minor spin, still recovering a little bit. Right in front, under immense pressure from Martin van Loosenhoed in the 8th position. Then rounding out the top 10, it's Emil Henriksen and Dimitri Yanis also on their one-stop strategy. Our pole sitter Danny Garcia Falol, we mentioned before, from 1st to 11th. What a horror race for the Iberica Racing team, as Pablo Lopez also from 3rd on the grid down to 16th. We spoke about always, Paul, one stop will come into play, and right now Michael Dinkel, 2.9 seconds. We mustn't forget Henriksen and Yanis. If they can just pit sometime soon, they won't maybe get a top 10 result. The same for Dinkel. He might not get a great result as Cam Stark right under attack from Yao Vaz here through Priori and on towards Brooklands. You know, at least for Michael Dinkel, he could obtain a top 10 result.
Yeah, and that'd be a really good result for him, considering he started, 17th on the grid, and has obviously had a very heavy car to start with in this race. To be second, as we've got cars in the pit lane as well. So that's Henriksen and also
Yanis.
Dimitri Yanis as well. Yeah, so they're making their pit stops now. Their one and only pit stop for them, you would think. As in the pits they are. So will they be able to get out in good clean air? Because it's all about getting good clean air here as well on these pit stops. So away they go. So Henriksen and Yanis, as there's another car in the pit as well. So 10.7 seconds for Henriksen and Yanis with 11.1 seconds for the pit stop. So they have done well. And yeah, Yao Vaz now is really putting pressure on Cam Stark, but also under immense pressure behind as well.
Yeah, under immense pressure is Yao Vaz. Kazuki Mishima almost pulling a move off into Stowe. Now for Emil Henriksen, see where he feeds
Dinkel's
out.
in.
Oh, Michael Dinkel's in as well. So Michael Dinkel right now on his one-stop strategy, the last man to make a pit stop. And we'll see what the man from Germany can do. So much experience in the IndyCar world. Enters his box. And this is important, Paul, where he feeds out onto the racetrack. It's a very long pit stop. We know around about 10 seconds for a one-stop. So that's as usual. And Michael Dinkel out and away. He may even, now this is incredible, may come out just in the midst of this battle between Stark, Vaz and Umeshima. Oh, and just behind Kazuki Umeshima right there. And Kazuki's lost time right behind Michael Dinkel, who turns in on Pablo Lopez. Has to back out of the throttle through Maggots and Beckett's. Incredible, aggressive driving from Michael Dinkel, who feeds out in P13.
But I don't think Dinkel will have wanted to fade out right in the middle of this battle, because it'll slow him down, and he's slower down that hangar straight now. And Pablo is going down the inside, and Pablo Lopez takes the place down the inside of Stowe, of course. Dinkel on colder tyres, not up to track temperature yet.
We want to see battling, but I think for Michael Dinkel, it's a smart thing not to attack Lopez back into turn 8. Because right now, he's heavier fueled than these guys. He's going to be slower. He just needs to gain that slipstream. And if he's maybe underfueled himself, expecting to be stuck into traffic, that comes into play, Paul, as well. I doubt he's taken that big of a risk. He just wants the points. Right now, though, he's currently in 14th. And as I said, he could be around the bottom end of the top 10 if everything goes his way. If not, he will still gain points around this mark. So for Michael Dinkel, is fed out into a nice little train. I don't think he's really going to get past many people. Somebody else who's not getting past people is Yao Vaz. He's still stuck behind Cam Stark, who holds that 10th position. As we know, everybody made their pit stop right now with 26 laps remaining in the event. The second pit stop window will open in 1 lap time. We'll see if anybody who made their early first stop will come into the pits for that final stop. Yao Vaz with a great exit here through turn 6 at Chapel. And, that's, dirty air comes into play. I mentioned it before, Paul, and through Chapel, it's very difficult to stay behind another driver, because right there, Cam Stark getting a nice fresh breath of air, because Yao Vaz has to back out of the throttle due to the dirty air.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a challenge, that's for sure, and he's trying different lines. He's bumping over the curves on the entry into the club chicane there, but out of club comes Yao Vaz, now just running a little bit wider, but he's now just trying to get a little bit clearer, just to make sure that Cam Stark can see him in his mirrors, but yeah, just not quite able to keep up there.
Yep, 25 laps remaining in the event. If you want live timing, you can visit RaceSpotTV/timing or click the link in the YouTube description. Refresh the page if that isn't popping up at the moment. Easy as that. As Yao Vaz still stuck behind Cam Stark. Right now, if, as I mentioned before, Paul, all Yao Vaz and Kazuki Umeshima need to do is save a little bit of fuel, and that may extend their stint by a lap or two, possibly on Cam Stark. And it may allow them to jump him in the pit stop phase, because right now they're 4.6 seconds behind Benjamin Lindsay, and they have to push to the limit to catch up to Lindsay towards the end of the race.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, as you say, if they can go a few laps longer than Cam Stark and really get the hammer down for those laps, then maybe they can jump him in the pit stops. But yeah, Benjamin Lindsay, he's lapping about the similar sort of pace as Cam Stark as well. So it'd be a challenge for them to catch him up, really, because they're, as you say, stuck behind Cam Stark, and that can always be an issue. If you're following the car in front for more than a few laps, you end up going at their pace, and you maybe don't put the move, and then you get more and more desperate, and then put a wild move in and end up ruining your race.
Yeah, right now, it looks like Jonny Backman has sort of frustrated a few of the leaders as he's been lapped by Bakken, Berryman, Carroll, Alatalo, just lapped by Marin Cholak, also Martin van Loozenhoorn, actually also Jonas Nukkarainen. A lot of drivers have lapped him since I've watched a little bit of a dilemma going on. Van Loozenhoorn right onto the back of Marin Cholak right now. For Martin van Loozenhoorn after that spin, I spoke about him, Paul, you know, he's lost 2-3 seconds. Right now, right onto the back of Marin Cholak. If he wants to redeem himself in this race, he needs to make a move quickly, bouncing over the curb there at turn 5 and losing a lot of time on towards the hangar straight.
Absolutely, he was 0.6 of a second faster than Cholak in that last lap, so he's certainly got the pace as Van Loozenhoorn. But if he makes mistakes and just loses a few tenths here and there by hitting the wrong curbs, then that will cost him this chance of progressing up through the field again.
Yeah, and I think Cholak's 8 tenths that he lost, or 6 tenths that Van Loozenhoorn was faster than Marin Cholak, was due to the fact that he did have to lap Jonny Backman, who didn't make it easy through turn 8, 9, and 10, the club chicane. Through bridge they come now. Van Loozenhoorn just needs to get the slipstream as much as possible. Wonderful through Priori, pushing to the limit, trail braking through Brooklands as always. Then through Luffield. Wonderful stuff here from Martin van Loozenhoorn. He's right onto the back of Marin Cholak through the exit. He's gained a lot of time. Incredible stuff on the run down to Copse here with 23 laps remaining in the event. Marin Cholak goes defensive into turn 1. Van Loozenhoorn on the outside. Doesn't have enough space. And for Marin Cholak, he defends that 5th position as they head towards the Maggots-Beckett's complex. Great defending from both drivers here, Paul, as they dab the brakes for Beckett's.
Yeah, Van Loozenhoorn was able to hold that tighter line through Luffield. It gained him so much time through there and was able to get on the power a lot cleaner than Cholak in front of him. But as you say, though, he's still behind him, but he's still trying down the hangar straight into Stowe. Just not quite close enough to make that move stick. Maybe he'll throw it up the inside through Vale into Club, but no, he doesn't. He stays behind, and he'll maybe try and get the wider exit, get on the power earlier, so that he can get the run into the Abbey chicane, but just not quite close enough, I don't think, Van Loozenhoorn. So he's going to have to hold behind and maybe gain that time through the complex, through Bridge, Priory, Brooklands and Luffield to make that move down into Copse, as he does certainly look a lot tighter through these complex than Cholak in front of him.
Yeah, the key last time around was through the entrance into Priori. He was a lot wider. This time around, a much tighter line, as you mentioned. So for Van Loozenhoorn, doesn't gain as much time on Marin Cholak. Then again, Cholak also was a bit hesitant on the throttle coming out of Luffield. This time, Cholak's learnt his lesson, and he's a very strong driver. We know Marin Cholak, with his experience in Formula 3, in ETCC, WTCC as well, Formula Renault, plenty of real-world racing experience. The 31-year-old from Croatia, as always, under pressure, he's a tough cookie to beat with 22 laps remaining right now. We'll see if Jonas Nukkarainen behind. He's only half a second behind these two. What he needs to do, Paul, is just stay patient. If they clash or if they spend too much time battling with each other, Jonas can capitalize on it.
Well, Jonas has been capitalising on these two battling because he was about 0.5 of a second faster on that last lap, so he's able to catch up to this pair of Cholak and Van Loozenhoorn, and it's almost making it a three-way dance.
Yeah, certainly so. So right now, Jonas Nukkarainen needs to just stay patient. I think that's the key for him as Mac Backham crosses the line. 35 laps led for Mr. Mac Backham, who's searching for his second win of the Pro Series. He maybe could have won that first round at Interlagos. Unfortunately, Berryman, we all know what happened. Into turn 1, outbraked himself, took out Mac Backham, and he could be on his way here to to his second win of the season. As I mentioned, Kazuki Umeshima right onto the back of Yao Vaz, who's getting incredibly frustrated behind Cam Stark. And Cam Stark right now, who, I mean, we've seen him under pressure as well. We've seen him, you know, perform well under pressure, not just under pressure, but we've seen him perform greatly in those circumstances. Once again, you know, Apex Racing UK, I always spoke about them having a young, developing squad. Right now, Cam Stark is, you know, if at a young age he's doing what he's doing now, not cracking under the pressure of Vaz and Umeshima behind, he's really, you know, setting a great example for his young teammates.
Absolutely, he's doing a fantastic job staying ahead, and he's doing everything that he needs to do. He's blocking at the right places, but he's not going too defensive to cost himself too much time overall on the lap. So he's just keeping his line, and he'll only defend when he feels he has to. But right now, Yao Vaz isn't close enough to be able to make a move, and Kazuki Umeshima is... Again, he's not quite close enough to be able to make the move, and Lopez is on the back of this pack. He must be thinking, well, come on boys, do something.
Yeah, so Pablo Lopez, who's an incredibly smart and experienced driver, will maybe see if strategy can come into play as we approach 2/3 of the way through. The second pit stop window still open, and nobody has made their move. We'll see if the leader, Matt Backer, maybe come into the pits early. Finish this
Van
race.
Loosenord! Almost into the back of Cholak into Maggots and Beckett. Sorry to cut across you there, Johnny, but that was very, very close. I thought he was going to end up making contact, but very quick on the brake just to keep out the way. But that's cost him now. He's right up behind, though, down the hanger straight, just not quite close enough to make that move into Stowe. But surely if he can hold the line through Stowe Corner, down through Vale into Club, he can maybe make a move. But again, just not quite close enough, and maybe it's that dirty air once again affecting them around these faster corners as he runs wide, does Van Loosenord, and right behind him, Nukirainen, I'll get it right someday, he's looking as well. He's very close on this battle, and as I say, it's a three-way dance between these three.
Yeah, for Martin Van Loosenord, now that catches us out in the commentary booth, but I've done that as a driver many, many times, and I know when you're in the cockpit, you're under control. And right now, Martin Van Loosenord, he's poised, he's pushing to the limit, but he's under control as well. He's not going over the limit, and look at this.
Chill, that's slower.
Wow, and I think that what's coming into play here is the dynamic track as Martin Van Loosenord is picking his lines right around the outside. Carbon copy maneuver as a few laps to go, and here's Martin Van Loosenord around the outside at Kops and claims P5 away from Marin Cholak. Incredible move there as he heads away on a pursuit towards Riku Alatalo in fourth. What a move from Martin Van Loosenord, and I spoke about him staying poised, I spoke about him being confident, and right there showing how it's done as Jonas Nukarainen also trying to set up a move here on Marin Cholak. It could be a double whammy for Marin through Stowe, in dabbing the brakes as well. Oh, very close between him and Nukarainen, and Nukarainen by only a feather just gets in front of Marin Cholak. Wow, incredible racing here with 19 laps remaining.
Van Loosenord, that is a sensational move around the outside. He'd set him up all the way through the complex and through Luffield to get that run down the pit straight, and just the ability to keep it on the outside through Kops, and again Nukarainen being able to hold it as well around the outside of Stowe. That's not an easy thing to do, and as you say, with this dynamic track, if you go offline you pick up the marbles and you end up losing time.
Yeah, Cholak's lines right now aren't the best, and you can see right there, you can see where that rubber line is. It comes into play. We saw it as Cholak does enter the pit lane. Oh, didn't want to be passed. It was one lap too late for Marin Cholak, and he enters that pit lane. So for Iberica Racing, it's just not been the best race for them, and we want them to go well. It just hasn't been the best race for them, and right now, hopefully they can keep strong, bounce back from it. Riku Alatalo right behind one of the lap cars right now. I think that is a Vortex Sim Racing car of Ricardo Torres. So Danny Garcia Filol also enters the pit lane. So Iberica into the pits. Does Pablo Lopez pit? They do. 3 cars into the pits for Iberica. Good teamwork here from those 3.
Absolutely, so they're all on the same strategy, 18 laps remaining, so now they're fueled to the end. It's about 8.5 seconds for the pit stop, and away they go. Now the question is Dinkel ahead of them? Michael Dinkel is ahead of Filal there. And as we're looking at Falol now, he's battling away behind the car of Diego Oliveira.
Oh, Michael Dinkel, though, right onto the back of Diego Oliveira. Yes, as you mentioned, excuse me. So, Michael Dinkel, he's a bit too far behind, but he picks that rubbered line up. And for Michael Dinkel right now, he's on the back foot. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, because he's in on one stop. His tyres are a little bit more worn. So he just needs to make sure he stays composed. He's currently in P11 as Mac Backham enters the pit lane from the lead. So does Peter Berryman. Mac Backham out and away. Berryman also out and away soon. Nukkarainen and Alatalo pit. So the two Finns continuing on. We'll see where Graham Carroll is. Graham Carroll into the pit. Another pit party. We have it every round, and it's good fun. So once again, another pit party this time around, and incredibly important right now, Paul, to ensure you do not make mistakes and do not get a speeding fine.
Van Loosenord as well was in as well, so everyone just seemed to be on the same pit strategy now on this final stint, but that means that Cam Stark is still ahead of Yao Vaz and Oshima as well. Those three are still battling away as they go through Stowe, but they're just going a little bit longer, these three. I would have thought that Oshima or Yao Vaz would have maybe pitted a lap or two ago just to break from behind Cam Stark and maybe get some hot laps in.
As always, don't forget RaceSpot.TV/timing for the remaining laps in this event. And as you mentioned, Paul, let's see where everybody feeds out towards the end of the pit stop phase. Very quick pit stop, 7.2 for Mac as well. And for Gialvaz, he's where is he right now? He's in 5th position. There we go. I thought I lost him for a second. Oh, thank God. He's had an incredible race. Don't want that to happen. But Cam Stark, good stuff from him. He's right in front of Kazuki Mishima. So Kazuki right now can have a run at Cam Stark. Will he get in front of the Apex Racing UK driver? And Paul right there, he's right onto the back, maybe dabs off the throttle, notices that Cops is coming up, he's a bit too far behind. And Kazuki right there, playing the patient game.
Yeah, Jalvaz of course making that move through bridge, which is a tough act to do, but making that move stick through there, so he's now ahead. It'll be important for him to pull away from Cam Stark if he's been stuck behind him, just to show that he does have that pace. As Cam Stark just going a little bit defensive into Stowe, ahead of Urushima, for that 6th place at the moment.
Yeah, incredible. Oh, is that Cam Stark who spins around and finally cracking under pressure? And he quickly does a burnout back onto the racetrack. Cam Stark making a mistake on the exit of turn 8. And you spoke about it, Paul. The club chicane, not the easiest corner to take on this Silverstone circuit.
Okay, so as we see, just coming out of the Vale and through Club, just losing that back end, just going a little bit too early onto the power, maybe carried a little bit too much speed actually through that first part of the Club, and that sends him spinning around, so down to 7th place for Cam Stark now.
So both the Finns enter the pit lane, Riku Alatalo and Jonas Nukkarainen. Riku for Glacier Racing, just out and away in front of Jonas. Don't forget, you actually cannot make contact in the pit lane here at iRacing. Not enabled yet, but Jonas Nukkarainen for Radicals Online. A bit of a longer pit stop. So for Jonas there, a lot longer than we expected. Very slow out of the exit as well. Takes that shorter line out. So for Jonas Rao, just in front of Marin Cholak, and he was 0.7 of a second slower than Riku Alatalo. So for Jonas there, good top 10 result if you can finish the rest of this race. And what about Benjamin Lindsay right onto the back of pole sitter Danny Garcia Filol through the exit. And you can see the track rubbering in, Paul, as we progress. It's good to see iRacing's dynamic track working very well here, even in a 100% endurance race, you could say, for an F1 car.
Absolutely, it's as Benjamin Lindsay just runs a little bit wide through Stowe there, maybe getting off of that rubbered line, as you say, but you really do notice the difference in grip levels with this dynamic track surface that iRacing brought in the last build, and it certainly does make the racing a lot more tactical and a lot more interesting to watch, because if you fall off that line, you lose so much time.
Certainly so. 14 laps remaining in the event. We'll step aside and go side by side you can still catch the coverage. Will only be very quick. Don't leave us. You're watching the 2015 iRacing.com Road Pro Series Round 3 from Silverstone. More action coming up shortly. Welcome back to the 2015 iRacing.com Road Pro Series. It's round 3 from the Silverstone International Circuit in England, Great Britain, as Cam Stark enters the pit lane finally for the event. Didn't miss much through our wonderful side-by-side coverage. Don't forget, live timing as always, available on RaceSpot.tv/timing. The link available in the description of the YouTube stream, with 13 laps remaining in the event right now. Paul Smith, Mac Backham has Peter Berryman 10.2 seconds at bay, and it seems that Mac Backham is going to walk away with his second win of the season.
Yeah, it certainly does look like it. It looks comfortable for him up at the front there, not really making any mistakes. And to be honest, that's all you need to do really, is just go through, not make any mistakes. So the battle for third place between Graham Carroll and Riku Alatawa is really just intensifying. Just Alatawa just not quite as quick on that last lap, but he has been gaining on Graham Carroll in that. And big shout out to Michael Dinkel as well on his one-stop strategy, now up to 5th place in this race. You said you'd hoped for a top 10. Well, 5th place is certainly well into that top 10.
Yeah, good stuff from Michael Dinkel. And you also pointed out Ricky Alatalo only 7/10 behind Graham Carroll for that final podium spot. Now Riku's late pit stop definitely helped there. It's gained him a lot of time in front. We'll have the grip as well on the fresher rubber. For Michael Dinkel though, he was 3/10 slower last time around than Martin van Loosenhoorn, and that's going to increase as van Loosenhoorn catches up to him. So right now for Dinkel, you see the one stop does help gain positions when you start down the field. Dinkel up 12 spots from his starting position from 17th to 5th. But in the latter stages of the race, you know, this is where you just have to remain consistent, patient on the throttle, and not be too aggressive, because those tyres are a lot more worn than your competitors around you.
Yeah, and of course if you spin up the tyres, you put more heat into the tyres, which makes the grip worse, which means that you end up spinning up the tyres even more, and it just progressively gets worse and worse. So the last thing you want to do is be aggressive on that throttle, or the brakes indeed, and just look after those tyres and make sure that you do make it to the end in good condition to be able to battle for position, as that Graham Carroll battle is just getting a little bit closer now. It's only half a second between the two.
Yeah, wow. I'm getting really excited here. Riku always produces us some great fun. And with 11 laps remaining, let's see what he can do. Grab that final podium spot. Graham Carroll second in the championship, right behind Mac Backham, who leads away after 2 rounds. Backham, after this win, will further extend his championship lead. Riku's had a great run through the turns 2 to 6, which are the Magnus Beckett's complex. And he's still got a lot of few tenths to find here, Paul. What he needs to do is, on the exit of every corner, just tuck into the slipstream, and it might gain him maybe, you know, half a tenth each straight. But it totals up in the end. It could maybe, you know, spring himself up onto the podium.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was 1/10 faster on that last lap, so he was gained a tenth, but he's just lost about 2 or 3 tenths on this lap so far as Riku. So that dirty air certainly affecting them.
Yeah, Jorge Montañez. Now you're watching the battle between him and Riley Preston on the hangar straight. Montañez into the slipstream of the Evolution Racing Australia car. But for Jorge Montañez, it is not enough. The Spanish man for the Movano Thrustmaster X team, only 22 years of age, so still has a lot of potential to maximize. And as always, Movano, another strong team, Paul. They've got Patrick Holtzman, Tommaso Carla in the World Championship. Don't forget Richard Avery, who moved there mid-season. So right now for Movano, now if you're a team manager, Paul, you don't want to steal drivers from other teams, but you certainly want to attract them to your squad. And right now for Jorge Montañez, if he can maybe do some on-track scouting of any drivers he likes to maybe be his teammate, around him that he's been battling with, maybe he can snatch up Riley Preston. I'm sure Brenton won't be happy about that, who was in the commentary booth last week, who supports Riley Preston. I think he's engineering for him today. But, you could use many drivers for that example.
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly a breeding ground of maybe doing some deals, down around the back of the garages, doing some deals there to try and attract people into your squad. And you want to have a strong team. And if you've got some younger drivers, have some stronger drivers there to be able so that they can learn from them and to improve their ability to build your team up even more.
Yeah, lovely. Lovely, lovely stuff. I love sim racing, but it's, at this stage of the race with 9 laps remaining, it's where it gets even better, because you've got that fight for P3 and P4, and you'd want to be in the cockpit at this time, Paul, certainly. I mean, that's why we all do it. At the same time, I mean, I mentioned it last round at Montreal, where, driver's personal life comes into play, and you need to value, what attracts you more is these drivers next year in the World Championship are fighting for that $10,000 prize. And if anybody can actually steal that $10,000 from who's won 5 of them, Hugo, the other man alongside us, won the other one. It's probably being taxed as well, who knows. It's certainly, as Jorge Montañez tries to have a look at Riley Preston there, you see, sim racing, everybody does it because they love it. And they love to be in the virtual cockpit. Not everybody has the funds or the experience to race in the real world. But here we come, with laser scan circuits, with these types of cars, we get this great entertainment that we watch today.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like when would these people have the opportunity to drive a Formula 1 car in real life? You wouldn't. Just flat out, you wouldn't, unless you are a ridiculously talented driver. And even then, it's very difficult to get into that Formula 1 world. So this is the closest that they will get at the moment, as Riley going very defensive on Jorge. Down the hangar straight, and he's going to go around the outside through Stowe. Is he going to take that wide line and able to make it stick? Riley, though, cutting back in, trying to defend because he's got a driver behind him as well, and that's Oscar Mangan.
Oh, Oscar Mangan, what a move from him, and he just gets ahead of Riley Preston. I'm not sure if there was a little bit of contact between the two. What a move from Oscar Mangan. I was about to say what a move from Jorge Montañez on the marbles at Stowe, but Oscar Mangan there, the young man, as Preston has a bit of a wobble on the exit. Oscar Mangan for Apex Racing UK. Now, believe this or not, for those out there, only 16 years of age, so he's got some good karting experience out there in the real world, loves his WRC and rally, and right there, car control to the max. I guess the rally comes into play sometime in these cars.
Absolutely, the sort of like the twitch fibres in his body just used to correct to the car, as now Oscar Mangan really looking to attack now for that 20th place. He's got a good run out of Luffield, looking down the inside of Copse, just not able to make that move stick, but he has got a good run through now into Maggots, and Beckett's is going to have a look. He's taking a very attacking way through, but through Beckett's and Maggots, you can't really make a move stick through there, but if you get the line right, coming through Chapel, you can get that tour down the hangar straight, which is certainly what he's got now, looking down towards Stowe. He's looking to the inside, he's not being left a lot of room. Can he make that move stick? Oscar just not able quite to get past, but has he got the better exit? No, he hasn't, he's lost it, and that loses a place to Riley Preston, who takes that place back.
Oh, wow, incredible car control again as Riley Preston slides through turn 8. So does Oscar Mangan. Wow, these drivers are pushing to the absolute limit with 7 laps remaining in the event. Great racing from all of them, but it's Jorge Montañez in the end who capitalizes on it. And you see there, Preston and Mangan newcomers. We know Montañez, and wow, epic racing. Right now, Montañez with his experience proving its worth here. And I spoke about for young drivers out there, maybe not just new to this car, but maybe new to the Pro Series, new to being under pressure. All these viewers, as Alatalo, we'll switch on to that later. Rico Alatalo right onto the back of Graham Carroll, maybe looking up the inside. Oh, Carroll's gone too deep into turn 8. He's to jink left for turn 9 and 10. Alatalo's going to have a great run on towards the Abbey chicane here. The battle for the final podium position with 7 laps remaining. Rico Alatalo onto the outside under braking. Oh, he's trying to sweep into the Abbey chicane. Great defending from Graham Carroll. Not enough for Rico Alatalo to sweep up the inside. Oh, incredible stuff. Almost a bit of contact there. Wow. Wow. It's Alatalo right now around the outside, Paul.
Yeah, if one man is going to try and make that move stick, it's Alatalo, that's for sure. But he's just not able to make that move stick. And look who's right behind them, Michael Dinkel. He's just lapping this up. He's liking these two battling because it's bringing him into the battle for that final podium spot as Rico just trying to get that run. And he's got the slipstream but not able to get past into cops on Graham Carroll. Graham Carroll doing a great job keeping that third place for the time being.
Graham Carroll, incredible stuff. Our round 1 winner. Alatalo trying to get onto the podium. Oh, got a bit of dirty air there. It's going to hamper his line out of turn 6 there. And they're onto the hanger straight. You see 4/10 down on Graham Carroll. So Rico Alatalo onto the radio. He's really excited for this battle right now. Maybe a little bit of frustration that he couldn't get the move done. We'll see what he says after the race. He'll surely join us for post-race coverage. As always, after the event concludes, post-race interviews with as many drivers as we can garner, excuse me, I should probably use the right word, as Alatalo right now heading on towards Abbey. This is what we want to see, Paul. We want to see close racing. Then again, right behind them, Michael Dinkel on that one stop, having to defend from Martin van Loosenhoorn. Another close battle.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just battles all the way through now. All of a sudden, this is the race is coming to us now as the viewers. But the battle for third place still going on. Graham Carroll just looking a little bit twitchy through Brooklands and maybe not quite keeping that tighter line. Although he did a good job through Luffield and out of there, so able to keep the place. Michael Dinkel having to battle off 2 drivers though for that 5th place, but at the moment keeping that place there. But Martin van Loosenhoorn certainly a man on the move.
Martin van Loosenhoorn did start the race in 8th, up into 6th, had a minor spin when he led the race for his 3 laps once everybody was making their pit stop, so that was indeed why he was in the lead. Peter Berryman's led 1 lap, Rico Alatalo's led 2.
Oh, speaking of Rico, looking down the inside into Stowe. And going to make the move stick. Is he Graham Carroll trying to hold it on around the outside? He'll have the inside for the first part of the club chicane. And down on the inside, Graham Carroll, is he able to make it stick? He's just ahead of contact. Oh, it certainly looked like there was contact, but Graham Carroll has ended up losing several places.
Oh, Graham Carroll, lots of contact. It seemed he carried too much speed into the corner, and I don't think Riku had space there on the inside. We'll look at the replay, and unfortunately for Graham Carroll, he is currently in the 7th position and lost an incredible amount of time. But we look at that replay, Paul, and yeah, it seems to me it's a hard one to judge. Alatalo around the outside, but it seemed that Carroll just didn't give him enough space and carried too much speed into the corner. Very difficult one to judge.
Absolutely. I mean, Alatalo, he couldn't really go anywhere, could Alatalo? So he's just having to just stay there as far right as possible. But Graham Carroll just clipping the front wing of Alatalo, and that sends him around. And well, this now means that we can turn our attention to Michael Dinkel for this battle with Martin van Loosenhoorn.
Yeah, and that's allowed Riku Alatalo to fall back the order and into the clutches of Michael Dinkel and Martin van Loosenhoorn. So right now, this is a battle for the podium. Can Martin van Loosenhoorn get past Michael Dinkel on the hanger straight? Dinkel goes defensive up the inside. Martin van Loosenhoorn around the outside. Quick dab of the brakes. Throws the car into Stowe at turn 7. Oh, and keeps the line together. Dinkel a little wobble. And van Loosenhoorn up into the 4th position. Great stuff here. And that's Jonas Nukkarainen also trying to capitalize on Dinkel's demise through the field. And Jonas Nukkarainen, it's not going to be enough. He's going to have to tuck into the slipstream and have a go into the Abbey chicane with 4 laps remaining in the event. Jonas Nukkarainen around the outside, braking very deep, oh so deep, across the grass, and he's going to have to let Michael Dinkel through, and hopefully doesn't lose a position to Graham Carroll. I think he may have a slowdown possibly here, Paul, with 3 laps remaining.
Absolutely, I think that's just showing that Michael Dinkel's tyres are now just screaming enough, as Martin van Loozenhout now already pulling away from Dinkel, and well, Dinkel, it's a good effort, he's still 5th though, is Dinkel, so getting some really good points here in the championship.
So wow, incredible stuff. Good to see Michael Dinkel back up to where he should be, but for Graham Carroll, not where he should be is P7. He's had a great, consistent, promising race. Something that will be looked at after the race. We'll see what they have to say, the drivers, in their post-race comments. For Peter Berryman, a quiet race for him in P2, 21.4 seconds away from Matt Backham in the lead. Now, Paul, I'm not just making this up. 20 laps into the event, Backham had a 7-second lead, and I thought to myself, if you multiply this by another, by 3, yeah, sorry, by 3, that was poor math. Backham would have a 21-second lead at this stage. 3 laps remaining. I think in my head I've been correct. I'm actually quite disappointed I didn't mention it and make myself look smart. So for Backham, it's been a consistently fast race. It's not like he's gained his time over any time or any era during this event. It's all just been consistently every lap, putting in the lap times.
What is it they say? Maths, you can count on it. This certainly is the case in this race. Yeah, he's done a fantastic job as Matt Backham to be able to pull out such a lead over Peter Berryman, because Berryman, let's face it, is not a slouch. He's a very quick driver, but he's just there in second place, as we say, 22 seconds after behind the leader. And I'm just looking back here, João Vaz and Benjamin Lindsay, they're pretty close together. They're battling away for that 10th place, and there's only 0.4 of a second between them at the moment.
Yeah, great battling between them. So João Vaz right now, he's or João Vaz, excuse me, he's trying to get a top 10 result. Good to see Benjamin Lindsay there for TNT Racing. I mean, we haven't seen much of him into the top 10. We look at stories though in the race. For Iberica Racing, Cholak and Filol, 8th and 9th. Still a top 10 result, still points. We say it's disappointing, but expectations come into play, Paul, because a lot of people would kill for 8th and 9th in this event. Same with Pablo Lopez is the 13th. People would love to be in those positions to get those points, but for Iberica, we know that they're much more capable of higher results as Matt Backham begins his final lap.
Yeah, but on the other hand, yeah, it'd be nice to get those positions, but on the other hand, you'd be disappointed because he started so far up in pole position with Phil. So it swings and roundabouts. Really, you do want, you are happy to get those positions, but on the other hand, you started off so high, you wanted to make a good race, and it's just not shown today.
For Mac though, Paul, lights to flag, a very consistent fast race as we just mentioned.
Absolutely, it's only been sort of like through the pit stop phases where he hasn't led laps. He's just been absolutely dominant at the front of this field, and has certainly deserved this. Well, I won't say it yet because I won't give him the curse of the commentator, but he's certainly deserved the first place in the race so far as we come into the final part of the lap now.
Through turn 14, on towards Brooklands at 15. For Mac Backham, another win in the Pro Series is ever so near. Only a couple more corners to go through Luffield, then through Woodcote. And for Mac Backham, what a race. What dominance from the great man from Radicals Online. Mac Backham wins round 3 of the Pro Series. And we have to wait 22 seconds for Peter Berryman in second place, who is very far behind right now through Luffield at the moment. And Apex Racing UK claims another podium for Peter Berryman, a bridesmaid again in P2. Still happy with the points, crosses the line finally and officially secures that second position. And Riku Alatalo, what a drive from him all the way. Started in the 9th position, comes home in 3rd to round out the podium. Right behind him, it's Martin van Loozenhout, started in 8th, in 4th. Great stuff, and Michael Dinkel from 17th on the grid all the way up into 5th on his one stop. A wonderful strategy just in front of Jonas Nukarainen, who comes home in his 6th position. For Graham Carroll, what could have been for him in P7, just in front of Marin Cholak in P8. Danny Garcia Filol, the man who started the race from pole position, comes home in 9th. And then Benjamin Lindsay rounds out the top 10. Oh, we got a big crash here. Is that Jorge Montañez, I think, Paul?
Yeah, absolutely.
On P20.
Yeah, so he was battling away through into Priory, looked down the inside, went a little bit too hot, and that is a very, very big accident. Goes flying over the front bulkhead of that car, and, well, he's lucky to be able to carry on going.
Yeah, that's Frederick Evers there. So Frederick Evers and Jorge Montañez battling. Evers continued unscathed, it seems, though he did go off the racetrack. Might have lost a position, I think. That may have been a lapped car. But not good for Jorge Montañez, bouncing across the gravel. But nevertheless, it's been an incredible race once again in the Pro Series. Wonderful stuff as Mac Backham takes the win for round 3. Another great race from the man from Radicals Online, Mac Backham, as always, from the Netherlands. Great, strong driver, and he wins by 21.9 seconds ahead of Apex Racing UK's Peter Berryman, just in front of Rico Alatalo in 3rd. Claims that podium position. Great stuff to see Rico there. He earned it through strong driving, just in front of Martin van Loosenord in 4th. Michael Dinkel in 5th position. Great one-stop strategy, just ahead of Jonas Nukkarainen, who started 6th, finished 6th. Great result for him. Graham Carroll, though, could have had a podium. That late clash with Rico will certainly be looked at with the stewards. And then it is Marin Cholak behind in 8th. Danny Garcia Filol in 9th. Benjamin Lindsay 10th. Down the order, a few more notable names. Kazuki Mishima from 21st to 12th, good stuff. Pablo Lopez dropped 10 positions, finally came home in the 13th position. And it's good to see Oscar Mangan from 28th on the grid, straight to 19th. And also as well, Christian Tanato down there in the 24th position. A few drivers not finishing the race. Tim Bertie, Yoni Backman, Tomo Meglek, Michele Mancusi, Davide de Corps, and Yuho Abe. We'll go straight to post-race interviews. No ad break. We'll keep you guys happy and hopefully start it off with our race winner, Mac Backham. Mac, another strong race from you. Incredible. Leading by 21.9 seconds in the end. How was it? Was it as easy as you thought out there? Not another Kimi Räikkönen answer, please.
No, I didn't think it would be easy, and it still wasn't easy. I mean, in the first stint, Peter was right behind me for most of the stints until he made a small mistake, which, I don't know, ruined his tires, I suppose. So I definitely had to push all the way.
But I speak about being easy. At the same time, you're at the front. Concentration is pivotal. It's key to leading that race by over 20 seconds. What was the difference between you this week and last week? Was there something different you did in testing, the way you worked with the Radicals team, or how did you manage to be so fast around the Silverstone circuit?
I think it's just because I had a lot more time to practice. Last week I only had like 1.5 days to practice, and this week I kind of practiced every day apart from one when the website was down. So yeah, I basically had more laps under me, and I felt more comfortable.
Any people to thank? We never asked that this season. I think we should give you a chance to thank people.
Of course, yeah. I'd like to thank Radicals and Team Apex for helping with the practice, and a special thanks to Joni Backman. I had a piece of bread stuck in my throat today, and he gave me the solution to fix it, and it definitely worked. So big thanks to him.
So Joni Backman out there in the race as well. Was that trash talk, or are you actually thanking him for something there?
No, I'm for real.
Oh, you're for real? No, because he was certainly on the nerves of a few drivers when they were trying to lap him. So for Joni Backman through the field. Actually, Mac, I'll ask you before we leave you about next round at Suzuka. A lot of drivers love Suzuka, and if they don't love it, they hate it. What type of a racetrack is Suzuka for you? We remember you out there in the World Championship, very confident and very fast before your incident, which we won't mention. We've mentioned it many times, but it should certainly be another strong track for you.
Yeah, I guess it should be. I do like Suzuka. I was really quick there in the WCS race, so I have a good setup. But unfortunately, I won't be home for the next round, so I won't be participating then.
As always, the drivers are allowed one drop week between rounds 1 and 7, so Mac will take that next round at Suzuka. Hopefully not a poor round after that at the Circuit of the Americas, Watkins Glen. Hopefully Spa, another strong round. But there we go, race winner Mac Backham, who wins round 3, takes his second win of the 2015 Road Pro Series. Paul Smith is sitting alongside Riku Alatalo, who came home in third position. What a strong race from Riku there, Paul.
Absolutely fantastic result for Riku. And just first of all, I want to firstly get your thoughts on the little incident that happened at the club corner between yourself and Graham Carroll. Just talk us through what happened there with that little incident.
I think it started a lap before. I also had a run into the chicane under the bridge the lap before. Or rather, he messed up. No, he came wide. He was on the inside for the left-hander, and he came wide right in front of me, and then he messed up the exit. So I got a good run to the full throttle right-hander, and we touched there, and I didn't quite manage to make the pass there. And then I noticed that he was driving way over aggressively, and then coming into is it club corner? I don't know the corner names, but whatever, the left-hander, wherever the contact happened. I was on my outside line, waiting for the inside on the right-hander, and suddenly he was there in front of me, and I had no time to do anything except, bump into his back, and he spun out. So I mean, I think my opinion is he just drove way too aggressively, and didn't respect my racing line at all.
It certainly looked like that's what happened from our point of view. But to finish third after starting ninth in on the grid, you must be very pleased to get that sort of result at a track which is a very good track to get overtaken Movestone at.
Yeah, I mean, the race I'm very happy with, but the overall event I can't be too happy with, because I had a really good shot at getting the pole position in qualifying, but again, the chicane under the bridge, I got really loose there and lost 4/10 there, and that was the 4/10 that would have taken me to pole, so that kind of sucks. But the race was nice. I passed a few people at the start. I don't know what happened, why they were so slow. I was, I think, 6th, and then I passed a couple of people in the pits, and yeah, I mean, actually Graham was the only one I passed on track. It is tough to pass here.
And looking forward to the next round, Suzuka. We heard what Johnny was saying. Some drivers like it, some don't. Is it a track that you particularly like, or is it one that you just want to get out of the way?
I really like Suzuka, but unfortunately, like Mac, I will be on a skiing trip with my university, so I'll be watching the race hammered. So.
Are we going to find a driver that is going to be turning up to Suzuka this next week?
Hopefully you will.
But anyone else that you want to just have a quick word for? Thank for the today.
Thanks for Backman. I mean, he eventually gave me the final setup that we used for the race, and who else should I thank? Thank the guy above who decided that it's gonna snow today. It's cold as hell outside, so that sucks. I don't know. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, thanks.
Well, thanks a lot for joining us, Rico, and well done on the third place, and hopefully see you at Circuit of the Americas.
Yeah, well, I'll see you there. I'll be at the Irish meeting though, so it'll be quite tough to race hungover, but we'll see how I can do.
Thanks a lot, Riku there. Johnny?
Thanks, guys.
Riku Alatalo comes home in the third position. Great stuff from him. Claims the podium. I'm sitting alongside second place man Peter Berryman. And Peter, very quiet race in the end. First of all, talk about your start. The Iberica boys falling down the order. Great to see you making up positions for your team. And it seemed like Apex Racing UK had some great starts.
Yeah, for sure. I know that during the week, one of our drivers found a better way to start the car that was maybe more efficient with the tyre pressures in this current tyre model. So yeah, once we learned that, it was definitely a big help.
About your race, 21 seconds away from Mac, not where you were in the first two rounds. What was the difference this round, do you think, between you and Mac?
Well, in practice with Mac, I knew that he maybe had a 10th or 2 in race pace, but yeah, I spun twice in the race, so that didn't help me at all. So yeah, I think second place was probably the best I would have come out with there. Just bring it to the finish, which I maybe made it a bit awkward, but yeah, I got there in the end, so that's all that mattered, I guess.
How are you going to work to overcome those mistakes, those small minor spins? We know you're out here just to get your license, but at the same time, you still use this as a learning curve, to minimize those mistakes you might make in the World Championship next year.
Yeah, for sure. I think this race, the first spin was it was driver error. It was touching the AstroTurf, I think, And the second one, I think, was a setup issue. Just too much instability in high-speed corners. The car just snapped out of nowhere. So, yeah, definitely tough to set the car up at this track with the tyre model. The tyres are getting so hot and very, very slippery. So, yeah, just need to look forward to the next round and hope that I can maybe get a win.
Talking about setup and talking about next round, I like how you led me on to my next question. Is Suzuka is not the easiest track to set up an F1 car around. How are you going to approach this next week of testing?
Yeah, it should be interesting. There's a lot of mix of corners at Suzuka, so I quite like the track, which I guess is half the battle. But yeah, hopefully the team's pretty strong at every track, you know. So I'm hoping that we all work on a setup and we can have another strong result as well. It was unfortunate for a couple of my teammates this race, but yeah, hopefully we'll have a strong showing next race.
Peter Berryman with another strong showing in P2, claiming another podium finish there. And Paul, we conclude another round of the Pro Series, round 3. No more different race winners. Mack has claimed 2 wins. But right now we've got another entertaining event. And what we want to see next time out at Suzuka, you've got a tighter racetrack. And if this carries on, we could be in for another incredible event.
It certainly could be an incredible event. It's going to be very difficult. As you say, the tight circuit is Suzuka for them to go around there. It's a narrow track. You've got that very, very impressive first sector with all the S's through there. And then, you've got that figure of 8, and who can forget Spoon Corner onto the back straight through 130R. It's one of those classic race tracks that some people enjoy. I certainly enjoy racing there. I don't know about others. But yeah, I look forward to it. It should be a good round next week.
Yeah, hopefully we get an updated championship standings. But what we saw today at Silverstone, we spoke about at the beginning of the broadcast, where we were going to get great racing, sort of died down through the middle event or middle pack of the race. But for drivers such as the Iberica Racing Team, Marin Cholak, especially for Danny Garcia Filol and Pablo Lopez, they've got the potential we know now in qualifying. Is it the race start that they have to rectify, Paul? Is there anything else they can do to obtain maybe a win in round 4?
The start would certainly help. After that start from Filol there, to be able to just drop back so dramatically like he did on that first lap. So he certainly will be disappointed, and hopefully he'll be trying to get some tips, maybe not from the Apex Racing UK guys, but hopefully getting some tips to just maybe get the car off the line a little bit better this next time out.
Yeah, I'm sure Apex Racing UK are going to keep all the secrets to themselves. But we look at the championship standings as we conclude round 3, and Mac Backham does indeed further extend his lead to 112 points ahead of Graham Carroll, who claims P2, still maintains that position. 96 points for him, 3 points ahead of Berryman, who's 3 points ahead of Marin Cholak. Now, behind for Danny Garcia Filol, we've been not very, at least I have, not very nice to him this round. But he's still in 5th position. What a great job from him. You know, he's still, in the end, lost pole position and still got some great points for himself. For 5th in the championship, 1 point ahead of Jonas Nokarainen. And we look down at that 25th slot again. Those top 25, don't forget, obtain that World Championship license for 2016. Fulvio Ballazzini in that 25th position on 32 points. And he's only just 1 point ahead of Paul Williams and Samuel Clark. Now, I don't think Paul Williams and Samuel Clark not out there today, and David Corps as well in 28th. They're going to take their drop round, Paul, and hopefully they'll come back stronger for the next few events and get that World Championship license.
Yeah, it certainly is going to be interesting to see how that goes. Of course, Barazini has also had a drop round by the looks of things as well. So those three, they're all pretty similar, so it's going to be a straight fight between those drivers for that final 25th, all-important final 25th position in the standings.
The third round of the iRacing.com Road Pro Series all but concludes. Another incredible event. As always, the race, live on RaceSpotTV and iRacingLive, will be archived later on for further viewing. Don't miss it. In 7 days' time, on the 29th of November for 53 laps at Suzuka, 1:30 PM GMT. As always, Thanks to Paul Smith in the commentary booth, Hugo Luis broadcasting for us, and thanks as always to Anwen Design for the graphics and Istvan Balo for track cameras. Another incredible event, a RaceSpotTV presentation. We'll join you in 7 days' time from Suzuka.